Most people that come to the waterfall come from the car park side. This is a side entrance, which is a steeper descent. The plus side, difficult for people that are plus size, including myself. The plus side of coming this way is that it's a bit quieter during peak times. We've had a lot of rain recently, so you can see the river is in full spate. I don't like really coming down here much because it is so busy, and to be honest, I'm bored with the walk. It's stunningly beautiful, but it gets boring. Nonetheless, it's on my doorstep and it's a really good workout. And there's a few variations. One of those is to come from Dol Henrid and work your way up towards, oh gosh, what is it called? Abercraff, I think it's called. There's the waterfall and the plunge pool, and I'm going to go on a 45-minute walk along the gorge. You can walk right behind the waterfall. The best time to come is when the weather is miserable, if you don't like crowds, and if you don't mind crowds, then it's fantastic in winter when it snows. I made a video with a drone that took me about 6 weeks to film. So that's on this channel, and that gives you an idea of what the gorge looks like from a bird's eye vantage. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's the path. That's the path I should be walking along. There we go. I'm back down. I didn't narrate the video myself. I found someone on Fiverr to do it, and she did a great job. I heard her on YouTube the other day narrating an advert for solar panels, I think it was. So she's gone up in the world because I don't know how much I paid her, but hopefully she's earning a bit more. I didn't do it myself for various reasons. One is I can't pronounce Welsh names properly. There were a few Welsh words. One of the great things about this walk is that it's a real workout. A lot of hilly terrain and climbing over and under things. The National Trust own the land, and I guess they maintain it to some degree. And this bridge was built by an international team of craftsmen. What a fantastic achievement of engineering. It's got these little bumps nailed into the planks to help you keep your grip. You do need to have your wits about you. There we are. Yes, it's Abercraff that I'm walking towards. So shortly after you cross the bridge, you will reach this sign. It points you towards the waterfall, the car park, Abercraff. So most people are kind of staying in this area. They're coming down this hill here, and then they're walking around there, taking their pictures, and then going back up the hill. But a lot of people do walk along the gorge. For me, it's like walking back into the past, because you can imagine being a medieval peasant making your way towards well, what would a medieval peasant be doing walking down in this gorge? I don't know. It's a bit like a commute to somewhere, but anyway, it would be great for a film. King Arthur, something like that. Robin Hood even. I mean, Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, I never saw the film in its entirety, but the bit I did see was filmed in a pine forest, and they didn't have pine tree plantations in England in the time of the mythical Robin Hood. This is the real deal. It's just unspoilt wilderness, because I guess it would be difficult to spoil. What we're looking up here is the side of the gorge that's on the Dolhenrid Hale Eglois road, which is really quite a fairly modest stroll if you're walking along the road, but it's a completely different story if you're walking the same distance through the gorge. And they have some fantastic gardens, those houses, I guess, but at some point there's a church, and I don't know where. Shut up. Not working. What I was trying to say is, if you live here, you kind of wonder where you are at certain stages, you know, and you don't know. When we have floods, this walkway is actually covered by water. It's really dicey. Look at that. You could slip on that and break your neck. If you're coming on this walk, be sure to wear appropriate footwear, be it Wellington boots or hiking shoes. So I've just climbed that, and then I've got more climbing to do. It's hard work for an unfit person, but that's what makes it so worth it. It's like going to the gym, isn't it? I'm not saying it's not boring, because despite the breathtaking beauty, I don't like repeating walks too often. But it's got to be good for the soul, surely, this sort of scenery. I just stopped to let those two walk past. Corgis, they've got so much energy, haven't they? He was running up all over there and down there and round here. If I had a battery company, I would call it Corgi. Has that already been thought of? Last time I was in this gorge, a flock of sheep had escaped into the gorge, minus a farmer. It was quite early in the morning. I don't think the farmer would have known. Looks like somebody has carved that into the wood so that you don't slip as you use it. I wonder if that was because someone slipped on it and really hurt themselves badly. Also, another time I was down here, I saw some fly agaric mushrooms. What is the situation with fly agaric? Are they illegal to consume? It's one of those psychedelic mushrooms where there's so much effort involved and such an uncertain payoff that it's probably not worth bothering. I'm not condoning drugs. I have to say that a good walk is probably as good as any ayahuasca ceremony, you know, because it's what Jane Austen recommended. Just go for a long walk, and that can help you to gain a new perspective on things and just filter things. Ultimately, the difficult decisions we have to make in life will always be there waiting for us. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh, that was nasty. That was a jolly good bonk on the head. I think my head's bleeding. Yeah, that's probably deserved that for focusing on filming and not what I was doing. You've got to laugh at yourself, haven't you? Especially when you're an idiot. I see lots of couples coming on this walk, and especially young couples, they look miserable. It's tough being young. I wouldn't want to be young again. I mean, knowing what I know now, that would be different. Yes, that would potentially be quite an intriguing prospect. That is the stuff of Hollywood films. But being as ignorant as I was, of course, young people always say, well, come on, old people, what advice would you give us? I don't know, because I'm not sure how effective advice is. And besides, there are a lot of young people who are very well put together, very well adjusted persons. They've made very good use of their short time on earth, and they're just cruising along, spreading good vibes. And there's a lot of old people that are not very well integrated. It's great when you're happy with your pile of stones. If you're one of those people that tends to overthink things, then when you attempt to do something good, like shit, that was not intentional. I was just about to say, when you attempt to do something good, like picking up some litter, you then feel guilty because you've only picked up one piece of litter, and you spend the next few minutes thinking that that's just, it's just such a lame effort, so that you can't be pleased with yourself for doing it. But what actually happened was, I didn't even manage to pick that up because that bank is very slippery. I need some sort of natural cloth. Let's see if this works. It's not bad, it's not bad. That's what they did in the 1300s. That's what the pilgrims did. Found a piece of moist moss. Probably get a rash now. That stings a bit. At least it's clean. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. But there's a nice wet seat, should you need it. That's how far above the gorge we are. Above the, you know, the Nant Lech. I was thinking earlier that you really couldn't tell what era you're living in being here, but of course you can. And one of the telltale signs is that if you stare at the trees for long enough, you'll see a squirrel scampering up the branches, and it's a grey squirrel. And they were only introduced in the Victorian times, and they chased all the red squirrels away. So bang goes my theory about this being a time machine. Of course, it's changing all the time. I seem to remember that it was along here that the sheep were scampering. Well, it was quite a long journey they made, but well, this is a bit strange. I'm in the gorge near the Batman cave and a bunch of sheep. Somehow, actually I'm probably doing them a favour, because they're probably going to run back in the direction they came from. See, there's loads of them. Oh, there's a bunch of them here as well. Look at them. Good morning. Can you imagine seeing an embarrassment of apes? I just had to find a way to use that collective noun. It is actually plausible because there's a squirrel, see, just over there. I don't know if you can see it. Because just over there somewhere is the ape sanctuary. I guess the other thing that might be missing is dams built by beavers. I don't know if they had beavers in Wales in times gone by. They must have done, surely. So there you go. That's another sign that we're living in modern times. Damn it, there's a fox running along there, right along there, scurrying along there. See it? Try and make it larger. Right over to the other side. This is why it makes sense to have as high a resolution as possible. The higher the resolution, the more you can zoom in if you need to. And I was careless and filmed this in HD. Oh, there you are again. Thank you. There's another one of you. There's two of you. What is that? Is that a birch tree? Is that a young birch tree? It's got an unusual crown. I keep meaning one day to do this walk in the gorge, in the water, with some Wellingtons at night time. That would be fun. That would just mix it up a bit, wouldn't it? Believe it or not, I have actually climbed that bank all the way to the top. I'll show you where I did it. So yeah, one time I was walking down here and I ignored that sign and probably didn't even see it. Oh, look, two things to show you. All right, well, let's do this first. I think this is related to there being a mill in the past. There was a lot of industry around these parts. It looks old, but actually the giveaway is this hearth. The glazed tiles, they remind me of the 1930s. So it's probably not that old. Well, at least when it was last decorated. I mean, it might be Victorian structurally. So there's the whatever it is, I don't know, mill house, and yeah, you're supposed to walk straight ahead, but there's an old bridge here, and I don't know, I just thought, well, if there's a bridge there must be a path, and I ended up walking all the way up that bank, which it looks easy, but it was not. There were barbed wire fences, and it was just really dangerous. But I made it, and when I got to the top, I was at the back of I think it was a field, a private field, and I walked through that field, and when then I had to climb over the fence, and that was difficult. That was really difficult. But when I got to the other side, basically I was at the ape sanctuary. It was just slightly little bit further up, but it was at the beginning of the ape sanctuary, or the end, depending on how you look at it. And I'm just saying that to prove that I really did it. But I had to climb barbed wire fences. There's like a barbed wire fence somewhere up that hill, and the posts were barely strong enough. They were rotting and barely strong enough to hold my weight. And I got stuck on it. And I thought they would make a great YouTube video. They've got to be kidding. Well, they don't mean the waterfall, do they? Because that's a lot more than 50 meters. Well, they call this gorge the Nant Lech Gorge, but I think it's the River Towie. Anyway, it goes off on its merry way that way, and we're going this way. Well, I never noticed that before. There's a sign there, so there must be a footpath there. I never noticed that. We'll be doing that one day, but for the time being, I'm going this way. This road is going to elevate us the entire distance we have descended. Oh dear. I keep meaning to get my ears unblocked. I saw an advert the other day, Specsavers advert. They didn't do a fantastic job on my glasses, but that's the way things are these days. For some reason I thought that sign was threatening to shoot people. I mean, I could understand if it was, because there's a lot of livestock and machinery theft in Wales. It's a big problem. But it turns out they're only threatening to shoot your dog if it harries sheep. Look at that bird of prey. Probably too far away. It's just flying that way. That white sheep appears to be the black sheep of the family. The good thing about these long walks is you can really workshop ideas. I've come up with this idea for a BBC Basic programme, which is sort of a text programme where you ask a god or a god questions, and the first thing it says is, "Dare you question me, infinitesimal one?" And you ask your question. Now, if you know the BBC Micro, you know it has very limited memory. It's 32K, and there really wasn't a lot of room on it. Well, it didn't have any room on it. I think all your memory would be stored on a cassette or a disc, you know, in terms of a program. So that's about 200K. There's nothing. So the workaround is that you ask it a question, and most of the time it simply replies, "That question is beneath me." And you simply have some questions which people are bound to ask, like what is the meaning of life? And you have your pre-prepared answers. And in a way, you're simulating AI. It's like a ChatGPT version of 1981's ChatGPT. And you know, AI is not AI. All it is a smart search engine. It's just a big database. It soon gets lost if you ask even quite elementary questions. I have a particular question I ask which completely flummoxes ChatGPT, and it gives me these erroneous answers. And I'm only saying that because the way some people are carrying on, they think that this is the end of the world. It's going to be some big takeover. You have to be kidding me. But I am worried about soldier robots. I think that, yeah, when you've got very complex machines, they will go wrong sometimes, and potentially huge numbers of people could be killed, but it'll be a malfunction. It won't be a concerted effort to destroy mankind, I don't think. We've had cattle roaming in our village before, not this kind of cattle. We've had the big cows with the inward turning horns that kill people in Wales. We've actually had them rampaging. Not, well, that's an exaggeration, but they do escape. They're confined, you know. Cows, they're sort of the unspoken assassin of the United Kingdom, because you don't really hear about cows much in the news, but they kill people. Sometimes they surround farmers and stamp them to death. Anyway, on that cheery note, here is the ape sanctuary. Well, here's a sign to the ape sanctuary. I was watching a Facebook video the other day. I was doom scrolling. I have an addiction to the pleasures of short videos. And in this video, there was an ape sanctuary, and the keepers were giving a senior female chimpanzee a purple blanket in exchange for her old purple blanket. And it was really quite a pitiful scene. There she was, all alone in her big cage. She was cold, and she was 48 years old, which is the age I am. And I just thought of all the things I've been through in my life, and she running a parallel course, and now in her cage all alone with her purple blanket. And it turns out that ape sanctuary is this one, just down the road from me. I'd like to visit it at some point. It's not very expensive, but I've never been a fan of zoos. However, this is not really a zoo, is it? It's a sanctuary. It's a better place than the animals were in before. I agree, that's why you should shop somewhere else. It's just Budgeons. Do you remember Budgeons? What is this? The graveyard of supermarkets of yesteryear. Supermarket trailers. Wow. Yes, I have to come here at some point. They've got wolves. Speedwatch. Yes. They've got some dogs in a pen over there that bark their heads off as soon as you get. So you can pay a fairly nominal sum to visit the sanctuary, but they also have meet and greets, I think they call them, which is more involved. It's feeding the animals, getting to see them close up. And it's quite expensive. It's like 50 or 60 quid, but you know, it's something I'd like to do. I've been here 3.5 years. Dump 27. Dump 27. There are some splendid views, aren't there, from this waypoint on the journey, shall we say. Dump 27. Seems to me that ridge straight ahead was mined in the past for slate or whatever it is it's made of. Seems to have lots of exposed bits that look unnatural. There you go. Back in them days they needed to live, had to do what they had to do. That's pretty much it. Those signs there read Colburn. I don't know if historically Colburn started here. I suspect not, but in the absence of a better name for it, it's Colburn, because there's no, it just sort of the houses just crawl along this road all the way down. And it's quite a nice road, actually. Nice little walk back to Colburn, as I see it. For me, Colburn begins at the village school, which is now closed.